So you've probably been searching YouTube and you're trying to find something that will tell you, how do I tell my story? Well, for beginners, there's a way that you can tell your story like casually, just like what I am doing right now. I'm trying to tell my story just like I'm talking to you. And there's no anything, no format and no any special guides on how I tell my story. So you probably might be thinking, what's my credibility? It's zero. Why? Well, basically, I'm a doctor, and what do I know about storytelling? So, what do I know about doing things such as movies, etc.? Well, if there's one thing that I can share about is that I would like to tell stories personally. I like to tell my stories to my friends, to my family, to my loved ones, such as my stay here in New Jersey. So, when I create my vlogs, all my tendency is just to tell my story. I would like to talk about something that I like. I'll tell you something about what I see. So basically what I'm doing, it's like telling your story spontaneously. You don't have any format, you don't have anything to keep in mind. You just tell your story. But I have to remind you that in order for you to write a most efficient or a more beautiful story, you have to start from a beginning, the middle, and the climax. Talk about the beginning of a story. What your intentions are or what your goals are is to build up the story. It's like you're properly setting up what's gonna be the content of the middle part of your story. So if you fail to set up the story, then it's like you're gonna be having a sketchy or a questionable middle part of the story. January 4, Saturday. We are at New Jersey. We're scheduled to go to Massachusetts. That's the place where my Lola Pat lives. We're gonna be attending her late husband's funeral. So Massachusetts basically is far, far away from New Jersey. You need at least 4 hours to travel to go there. My uncle said that you need to pass through 5 states. You have New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, Rhode Island, and then Massachusetts. So as I promised you, we're gonna go to Massachusetts for my Uncle Rene's funeral. We call him Uncle Rene, but technically he's already our grandfather. That guy was funny. He knew the right things to say. He always tell the silliest jokes, but it was always funny, I could tell you that. So, my Uncle Rene was really a nice guy. I used to remember when we were kids, he would just always carry me. I was really tiny by that time. So he would just readily carry me and he would pretend that I will be thrown off the air and he's gonna let me fall to the ground. Where in fact he's just gonna catch me. He's also generous. He owns lots of properties here in the United States. He has apartments for rent. But never without a doubt, when you ask him for help, he would help you. So probably one might say that I'm telling all these nice things for him because the guy's gone. But let me tell you this. You wouldn't know if you haven't met him personally. He's one awesome guy. For the content of the middle part of a story, it should be related to the beginning. Sometimes people do this with a plot twist or what they say. This is my first time stepping and even seeing their house, so it is an honor for me. Tita Pat and Tita Rainy has been a very huge part of our family. Here's why. Since we were at elementary school, it was always Tita Pat and Tita Rainy's financial assistance that kept us in the balance. If it weren't for them, possibly I couldn't have reached what I have reached today. So they own a veterans home. They take care of the retired veteran soldiers. It's a noble thing to do And at the same time, it helps those veterans who are alone and has been left abandoned by their families. And this is Maurice the cat. Hey Maurice. Might get started. Morning. Knowing from now on that this house would be empty, or rather alone, that my Lola Pat would now be alone, it seems so hard for her. I mean, you have to understand the situation. When they were both living together, it was always Tito Rini who had done the huge part of managing that place. So you can imagine, now he's gone, my Lola Pat will now have to shoulder all of those things. So I think I have to tell you how my Uncle Rainy and my Lola Pat met each other. It's like one for the books. Well, basically, my Lola Pat, she was a part of the church. But don't worry, when she left out of the church, I mean, that's the time that they met each other. So, very beautiful that story was. You see, they started chatting together. Then they met. Then they eventually got wed. They got eventually married. So, it's like two old people trying to understand the internet. And little did they know that they would end up with each other. Now, both of them didn't have any children to begin with. But my Uncle Rainy, he was married before. And he had two children from his ex-wife. Now, my Uncle Rainy, he developed a certain type of cancer. And by the time that they caught the cancer, it was already too late. And only palliative therapy was the key in order for him to have a life. Now, imagine this. You have to live yourself every single day with pain, with discomfort, and with loose tools. Well, that's based on what my Lola Pat would say. Now, he fought every single day with all his willpower. Now, I wasn't there to witness it, but I could feel with my Lola Pat's words, and in her eyes, I could see how much the both of them fought. And lastly, for the climax of the story, in order for you to successfully send off your movie or your film, some people or some directors, they will leave the story with a question. Have I discovered my life's purpose? I mean, looking at my Uncle Rainy's life, it made me question myself. Yes, I've already been hurt, I've already been broken, and I've also felt loved. I've also felt being cared for. But I still question myself, have I already found my purpose in life? They say that not everyone can find their purpose. Not everyone can find what they are meant for. So it's a good question for us to ask. Have you found your purpose? Have you done everything in your life? Have you hugged your loved ones? Have you kissed your parents in the forehead and tell them how much you love them? Or have you told your grandparents how much you love them? From this experience, all I can recall is that no matter how much you live your life, you would always find yourself questioning. You would always ask yourself that, are you on the right track? Are you on the right path? So perhaps you're still searching, you're still trying to look within yourself, you're still praying to God, asking for guidance, asking for help. Where is the purpose? What is my purpose? So if you haven't found yet your purpose, then you probably are not searching enough. You're not praying enough. You're not looking at things in front of you enough. Maybe the things that you need are all in front of you, and yet you're just failing to see it. So let me ask you again, have you found your purpose?